Deleted session, August 7, 1972. Now, good evening. I want Robert to read his last session daily. Drop noted of August 2, 1972. Seth said he has not done so. He has made an attempt, however, to follow the suggestions, and this has given him some pointers about his subjective state of mind. Some improvements have indeed shown themselves, but the entire session is important, and each of the suggestions is geared for him. He did not tell you the many times he used my suggestions with good results in Rochester, simply because when he had the time to talk to you other matters had arisen, and he forgot some of the instances. On one occasion, he did almost come very close to the feeling of freedom necessary, but all the suggestions need to be followed, not simply the ones he happens to remember at any given time. The suggestions are given in such a way that one makes the other easier to follow. They work as a group, therefore, also. Give us a moment. Again, the session to be read daily for a while. It is very important that when he feels caught in a dilemma, to move because he wants something, or not to move because he thinks it will hurt. Let him not prolong the dilemma, but move despite his mood at the time. His idea of trying to help others was a good one. This involved physical motion in Rochester. He will tell you, I will have something to say regarding the affair you mentioned, but give us a few moments on that. I am afraid I am holding him to the line with that particular session if he wants my help. Therefore, he can no longer avoid following my advice, and tell him that I know he has been. But he must do so more completely with that session. I am repeating myself for a good reason. The concentration must be on projects, and the more concentration is placed upon projects, the less will feed the symptoms. Have him tell you of the Rochester incidents. Now, the affair with Venice's friend involved the false prophet idea again. It seemed to Robert, with his understanding, that if his information was coming from a paranormal source, and that source was good, then it must also prove itself to be infallible. Or he was a false prophet. He also felt accused by you, believing that if he was using his abilities really fully, as you wanted him to, then there would have been a way provided so the woman would not die. He felt that the burden rested upon him, which of course was hardly the case. He also felt that Venice needed the proof of that woman's complete recovery, and felt that perhaps his own doubts or fears prevented delivery of the particular information that might make the woman decide to leave. The whole class knew of the session. He was disappointed in me, also, thinking that I should have been able to save the woman. At the same time, he resented being put in the position to begin with. His mother had attempted suicide several times. On a deeply unconscious level, he worried that perhaps symbolically he did not want to save the woman, who was, incidentally, a mother. He felt responsible for his own mother's suicide attempts, to some degree, and this added to the situation. He felt he let you down also, you see. he had helped to be a great psychic, in his terms, about them. But a great psychic, you see, should have been able to raise the dead and save the living. He completely forgot that personalities have their own choices to make. He had also been reading about the great percentage of successes with faith healers, for example, and he considered this a personal failure of an important magnitude. At the same time, he was feeling that he would not be a great writer either. You were telling him he was using only about a tenth of his abilities, and so in both areas he was not living up to his expectations or yours, to his way of seeing. There are other odd tied-ins here, in that he was always considered very good or very bad, in that people always liked him instantly or disliked him instantly. You could not ignore him, but the contrasts were always straight in early life, so that if you were not the one, you were the other. He was giving a good deal of time to our sessions. The woman's session, to him, was to some degree a test of the material's practical worth to someone in deep trouble. The woman's death obviously meant that it did not pass. Again, he forgot the integrity of the personality. It must make its own choices, and may accept or refuse help given. The woman did not want the session, and had made a decision. She did not intend the change. Venus's will or anyone else's could not stand against that. Now, you may take your break. Now, I have been following your discussion, and to some good degree, you are correct. Robert has allowed himself to become hypnotized by certain images and ideas that he considered true. In the picture of reality, he has been accepting, for the reasons given in past sessions. He did not believe he could move capably. As matters progressed, he did not believe it was possible for him to perform physically in a normal manner. You must act in accordance with your idea of reality. You cannot do something unreal. Some important blockages would therefore come when he tried to tell himself he could do something, such as walk downstairs correctly, when at the same time he did not believe it possible. This was in my suggestions I emphasized the ends rather than the means. It is also why I want the session read so often, assuring him as it does that even in his present physical condition alone, he can perform with much better flexibility. Ralph said, yes, except that he doesn't believe it. Seth said, then he previously believed. If the suggestions in the session are followed, they will alter his picture of his own reality, and through action. Naturally, the session must be followed, and not just read, from the sketching or painting suggestions right on. If that session is followed faithfully for 2 months, you will see some nearly spectacular changes. Now, the session contains more than is apparent, and there are developments that can arise from it as a direct result of concentration being directed elsewhere, a release of energy, seeking new outlets, in other words. Try to adjust your own attitude as you hope Rupert will adjust his. Encourage him, therefore, to follow the session, and assure him that you believe he can follow it. Do not tell him ahead of time that he will not succeed. Do you follow me? Ralph said, yes. They said, the emotional rapport and your greater acceptance of him is praised, helped in making this inroad possible. The dent in his armor, as you put it. Now, thoughts have their own energy, your thoughts and everyone else's. Your own greater awarenesses now with Ruber, to him, represents the first real break in your armor. It will also serve to release feelings of joy that you have inhibited. These feelings are released not only in paintings that you are working on, say, now, but on paintings that were completed earlier. Your emotional reality permeates everything with which you come in contact, across the board, regardless of the time element. These feelings, this extra vitality, enriches than paintings that you did in the past earlier. These feelings were picked up by the people who have been buying your paintings of late, and the same feelings will radiate outward, you see, wherever the paintings may be. As the session is followed, Ruber's joy will be liberated through the body in the same way. Do you follow me? Ralph said, yes. Ralph noted, this is excellent material. They said, you are quite correct, that conscious involvement is necessary on Ruber's part. But then, the released energy can act on the images in the same way that the feelings act on the paintings. The feelings or emotions automatically reach out, therefore, altering all objects within your reality, but from the particular focus upon of its emergence. In Ruber's case, the body, where the lack of joy showed, and in your case, in the paintings, where the greater expressiveness will now add, and has its own vitality. As you help yourselves then, you help the other, and as you help the other, you help yourself. Ralph noted, again, this is excellent material. They said, I did have some interesting comments to make concerning your visit, but it can wait if you would like to retire early. Ralph said, no, I am all right. They said, then give us a moment. To some extent, in certain terms, you have upset both of your brothers, and your younger brother's comments concerning money were directly related to two events in your life. 1. The fact that you left your job, and 2. The fact that you have a new car. If you had the recorder, I could tell you more about it quicker. Rob said, it's all right. They said, first of all, because you are the eldest, and because of your father's position, because you were making good money as a young man. Lauren braced himself against your situation at that time. You were the one starting out making money. Both of them wanted to beat you at the game, simply because you were the oldest. But as they began, you gave it up. In the back of their minds, they are suspicious that had you continued, you would have beaten them. And now, they can never know differently. They cannot understand, either of them, how you could leave your job. Their own sense of worth is so bound in positions. They are deeply insecure, but good men. For you to leave your job and have a new car is doubly mysterious. They respect you, for that matter, in quite mysterious way to them, that they do not understand. They suspect that you might end up financially well off, while taking a route that to them is completely illogical. If you can get positions while not having a worthwhile job, then they must work that much harder for more positions. To prove they were correct and yours lacking. This is not a malicious intent. They must have more to show for all their work, you see. If you do well financially, then your well-doing puts a burden upon them to understand the validity of your kind of life and the rubrics. This makes them question in ways that make them uncomfortable. Yet, you do what you do for them also. For certain portions of their personalities, under different circumstances, tempered differently, have leanings in those directions, but the core of their being does not. To a lesser extent, the same applies to Ruber and the sister-in-laws. A woman choosing to have no children is not a woman they can understand. Yet, each wonders what other abilities of their own they might have nourished, or what they would have been. For Ruber to make money, to become none, puts this same kind of burden upon them, you see, of understanding. The two of you represent the loners, of course, who strike out for themselves. There is much more here, but I suggest that we wait. You can have the information whenever you want it, or request it. There are connections with the children, where you serve as counterpoints. I bid you a fond good evening. Rob said, "Good evening," said, "Thank you very much."